Hi. Hi and welcome. Let's talk about some emotions and, in particular, how to untangle your relationship with them. I love talking about emotions. Lots of people don't. And I could talk about them forever. I find them so interesting. And I'm going to try not to talk forever because no one wants to listen to a 3-hour episode on emotions. I do, but some people don't. When I think about emotions, I think about the energy of our soul. What our soul is feeling in any given moment is reflected through our emotions. And so often we are told, and this is so harmful, that there are good emotions and bad emotions. There are emotions that you're allowed to feel in public, and there are emotions that you should never show other people, that you must keep to yourself. As someone who has very much suppressed, say, 70% of her emotions for a very, very long time, I know how limiting it can be when we do that. And when and how impactful it is for you. I see it, I've seen it in myself, I see it in my 3-year-old already. And I know from all of my clients that when we suppress emotions, it limits us so much. When you cap your emotions in any way, so let's say like you've got a story of, oh, I can only be too happy because otherwise someone will be upset. Or I can't be sad or can't show anyone that I'm sad because what will they think of me? Or maybe it's I can't be angry because no one likes someone who is angry, right? And you can see already how these stories and beliefs might fall into other categories of like people pleasing, the good girl, that kind of thing. But when you put limitations on how you should feel, how you allow yourself to feel, you're also putting limitations and boundaries on how you will feel and experience other emotions. So you cap your happiness, you're capping your sadness, your anger, your joy. For example, let me give you an example. I used to be the positive, upbeat person that everybody could see. I was the go-to person. I was the reliable person. I didn't show too many emotions. And I loved that because it gave me validation. People liked me because of how I presented. But on the days where I was depressed, sad, lonely, or isolated, I would put a block on that. I would limit the extent of those emotions. It was like I could see myself spiraling or going downhill. And it was like, all right, I'm depressed again, brick wall up, put myself in a box for a couple of weeks, don't actually lean into what's going on and just survive. Then I would come out of it. But what I was doing by doing that, and I didn't realize this until after I did all of my healing, was that I had subconsciously capped how good I could feel. Because when I actually allowed myself to experience joy, it was so different to what I thought it was. I had never experienced that way. I had limited so many of my emotions and never felt the full spectrum of my emotions because I wasn't allowing myself to. And also, there was a story of if I'm too happy or if things are too good, then something's going wrong. And it's wild. It's wild to think that we suppress so much of ourselves. It was wild to me back then to be like, oh my God, this is what joy is like. This is how good I can feel. And it's sad that I missed out on so many years like that. It's also interesting that we have these stories. I'm allowed to be happy, but I can't be sad. And I think, in actual fact, if you're telling yourself that you can't be sad, you're telling yourself how happy you can be as well. And what I also see is we get really caught up in the complexity of emotions. For me, one word that would describe me is polarity. There is always this and that. And emotions are a bit like that as well. You can feel a number of different emotions at the same time, and it can feel scary and stretchy and can also be overwhelming. when we don't know what to do with our emotions, it can feel like it's too much, especially if there's multiple emotions going on at once. The other thing, if you have never allowed yourself to feel emotions and connect with your emotions, some of the emotions that you're having might feel confusing. You might not actually know what they are. For anyone that knows human design, I'm a projector, and there was a couple of people in my life a few years ago where I just felt something towards them and I didn't know what it was and it wasn't pleasant. I was like, oh, they just, I didn't hate them. I didn't, I was just like, I just didn't know what it was. And then when I had my first human design reading, my out of alignment theme is bitterness. And when I read what bitterness was, I went, oh, that's it. That's what I feel towards these people. I am bitter. I am bitter about them. I'm a bitter bitch, but I'm not really. But I just kind of landed because I allowed myself to lean into different emotions. And this was one that I couldn't put a label on. And now that I know that, and now that I can name that, I accept it so much easier. And when it comes up, I'm like, okay, like, why am I feeling this? And I've had a number of clients in the past where they just don't know how to connect with their feelings. One of my beautiful clients, who has been a long, long term client, we were talking about emotions one day. She said she has an emotions wheel. And I love that because it is a tool that she can use and other people can use to look at and be like, what am I feeling today? Like, it is a super supportive tool to allow you to get curious about how you're feeling, to tune into your emotions, to understand what the emotion might be. So if you struggle, get an emotions wheel, right? Connect with those words, give yourself that space. Anyway, back to multiple emotions at once. And this is what you came here for. When we are feeling a number of emotions at the same time, it can put us in a bit of a tiz. It can cause us to spiral, check out, go down a rabbit hole, and it can really impact us. We can almost make ourselves wrong because we're having these feelings and we don't know what to do with them. And the easiest way I know to deal with this is to untangle them, which is why this episode is called Untangling Your Emotions with Them. I want you to think about your emotions as a piece of wool or a ball of wool, ball of yarn, whatever you want to call it, and pick a color. Pick a color for every emotion. I feel like everyone's gone, okay, well, red is angry and happy is yellow and envy is green. Um, I invite you to pick, different colors. Often we have this association to certain colors and it can be quite triggering. Um, don't think about it too much. Just, I know that, to me, red is like wrong. You got something wrong. It's from high school. And I had a period in my business where I was tracking things. And if something, if a client didn't sign up or if something didn't go to plan, I would put it in red. And one of my coaches and mentors was like, what are you doing? You are subconsciously blocking yourself and putting such a wall up because you're making all of these things red. You're making yourself wrong. It's like, wow, didn't even click with that. So I encourage you, if you have an automatic response to an emotion and a color and it feels a little bit triggering, change it. Change it, right? So we're thinking of each emotion as a ball of wool. I should have used some props in my head, but I want you to imagine a ball of wool. And I want you to imagine you've got kids if you don't have kids. If you do have kids, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And you've got this basket of nice, neat balls of wool all sitting there. And then the kids come in and they just like pick them up and throw them and run around each other and, do all sorts of crazy things. They chuck the basket upside down, and rolling around in them. And you turn around and you're like, holy fuck, what happened to my wool? It is all just one big fucking giant twisted mess. And if the wool is still your emotions, this interlaced, interconnected mixture of wool and emotions, you've got to untangle them. What do you think you do? So, as if you were actually untangling balls of wool, you pick one color. You pick one color and focus on that. So Let's go with, say you're feeling frustration. Maybe it's purple. For the sake of this exercise, frustration is purple. And for the visual people out there. So you find the purple. And then you kind of go through the wool until you find one of the ends. It's mixed in and it's twisted and it's knotted and everything else. And you're just untangling, untwisting, unknotting the purple wool. While you're doing this, you're taking time to look at it. You're labeling the frustration initially. You're labeling the emotion, sorry, which is frustration. And then you're looking at all of the ways that you're frustrated, how you're frustrated, why you're frustrated, how frustration is showing up for you. So visually, you're untangling this wool and you're looking at it. It's like, okay, this is frustration. And every time you loop it around or untie it, it's like, okay, like it's another question. It's you acknowledging and actually seeing the frustration that's woven into your system, woven into your nervous system. And you're getting really curious about it. You're focusing only on frustration. You're not worried about any of the other emotions or any of the other pieces of wool. And you're allowing yourself that time and space to acknowledge it. Then, once you have all of the purple untangled and untwisted and rolled back up into a nice ball, you can take a breath. It's like, oh, what a good feeling. I think everyone can relate to that. I think we can all relate to that when we've, had something twisted and you untangle it and it's like, oh, it's such a relief. I did it recently. I made a friendship bracelet for my son and my two boys just went nuts with the wool and I untangled it. And then it was just like, oh, it's so good to have that done. It's kind of the same. You've got a mess. You're sorting it out. You focus on frustration, you untangle it, you look at it, you get curious with it, you see what's going on. And maybe you journal if you're a journaler, and it might be just like asking that. It's like, why am I frustrated? How am I frustrated? How is frustration showing up? Like, write those questions down and get really curious. Then you're done with frustration. Then you go, what else am I feeling? Frustration was one. Anger. It's another one. Anger might be green, which feels really uncomfortable for me to even say that. I wanted to say orange, but I feel like I need to really let go of the red theme. So anger is green. So you find the green thread and you do the same thing. You slowly pull it, untwist it, untangle it until you have all of the green thread. Why am I angry? How is anger showing up? What am I angry at? What's the deeper meaning to this anger? You see? And then you get to the bottom of it. This is why I'm feeling angry. This is how it's shown up. And then it might be like, do I feel wronged or victimized? And you're just getting curious again. And at the end of each of these, it might be like, am I uncomfortable with having this emotion? Because so many of us, we sit with emotions that are like, oh, this isn't good, right? You've got to lean into them to accept them, to build them and make them part of yourself. And then you just keep doing it again until there are no more balls of wool or no more emotions twisted and turned and wanting to be seen because you've allowed yourself to untangle them. You've allowed yourself to acknowledge them. The beauty of doing this is when you build a relationship with your emotions, it is so much easier to untangle them, to see them, to acknowledge them every time. So, like I said, with bitterness, now I know whenever I feel bitter, I'm like, oh, yep, that's it. And this is why. It's like a split second thing. And if I'm feeling rage, for example, I need to dissociate from whatever I'm doing to properly step away because yeah, I need to take a step back. I need to step away. I need to back the truck up, give myself some space and look at it from a bird's eye view so I can untangle it. Because if I don't do that, I know that that rage is going to get twisted and turned and consume me, and I will say something that I don't mean, say or do something that I don't mean. And I know that about me and my relationship with rage. I'm comfortable feeling rage, but in order for me to accept it and acknowledge it, I need to take a step back. So I go to my own space, I think about it, I might journal, and then I'll come back and resolve it. This could be like a 2 second exercise or 2 second process where I'm like internally, okay, check out. Now I can come back in. Or it might be a couple of hours or days. There have been arguments I've had with my partner where I will walk away because I need to figure it out and untangle those emotions. And he doesn't love that. He's like, let's just get it out. Let's just, get this out here and now. But for me, that process is really triggering. I can't be in the space of rage without just feeling really, really uncomfortable. And so sometimes emotions are easy to untangle and sometimes they're not. Don't make yourself wrong for that. Sometimes you will be really comfortable getting curious with some emotions, and some emotions you'll be like, ooh, like you'll automatically feel yourself try and shut that down. Untangling your emotions and getting really comfortable with them is so powerful because it shifts everything. It makes everything living this life so much easier. And I am absolutely here for making life easier than it needs to be because we're very good at making it hard, right? And the less in tune with our emotions we are, the harder it is, the more sticky it can feel, the more out of control you can feel. In short, and to summarize this episode, when you're feeling overwhelmed by an emotion or emotions, imagine it's a colorful ball of wool and untangle it. Calm it, soothe it, get curious with it. It almost forces you to slow down. It forces you to be present because you can't untangle a ball of wool and be watching TV or thinking about something else or yelling at someone. Like you have to be really present or it just get turns into a matted mess. It's the same with your emotions. If you just allow yourself the space to get curious with it, it is going to make everything so much easier. It will help with emotional regulation if that's something that you're working on. Because again, by spending time with your emotions, you're allowing them to be seen. You're going to understand what you need to process and work through each emotion. So you're not going to feel like any emotion is just going to like throw you off the edge. So untangling your emotions, it's a ball of wool. Imagine it's a ball of wool where you just get to be really, really curious and slowly look at it, slowly pull it apart without making yourself wrong. Because the bottom line is we all experience the full range of emotions. It's about whether we actually acknowledge that we're experiencing it or whether we try and suppress it. And as we know, the more we suppress something, the less supportive it's going to be and the more it's going to impact us in the long run. So I hope this was super helpful and go ahead and pick your colors for your emotions. Practice untangling them. If you love this episode and you want some deeper support, please reach out to me. My contact details are in the show notes. I would love to support you. I would love to support you with this.